So there was a video that came out last week that caused quite a stir in, well, as far as I know, in Trinidad, probably around the Caribbean as well. And then there was some serious backlash that came from it, and I think it's something that we need to talk about because personally, I find it going on too long, man. This situation is going on too long, so I think it's something that we definitely need to talk about. Um, you want to paint the picture? You want me to paint the picture first, and then you give your thoughts.
Yeah, you could paint a picture.
All right. Okay, so um, there was this video that was done by a content creator from Trinidad named Anil James. He has a TikTok channel with his wife, and he alone did this video talking about an experience that he had while he was at the gym speaking to a young lady. And the young lady told him, "Congrats on his sperm baby," because his wife is pregnant. Now, when I heard it, I didn't know what she meant by that because I don't know what a sperm baby is. And he asked the same thing. And then she started to do the verbal regurgitation on why she don't want children and why she don't want a man and how she want to live her life and so on and so forth. And his commentary on his or his point of view that he shared was, it wasn't taken well by the women of the country, and that's just putting it mildly. So Nick has the points that he would have made, and then I would come back and talk about the backlash that he got.
So some of the points he made some very important points that I want to repeat because obviously no one is perfect, both men and women, but it shows where things are at currently. And so I'll just get right into it. So some of those points, one of the points that he made was that these days it seems as though women no longer aspire to be wives and mothers. So what I'll do is I'll just go through the points quickly and then I'll give my 2 cents on it after. So as Ron mentioned, he also had spoken about the conversation he had with the young lady, who happens to be 22 years of age, by the way, which he identified as there seems to be some problem or issue mentally or a mindset level for the younger generation. He also spoke about the interaction with the young lady in terms of, I myself don't know what a baby is, right? Just putting it out there. And he was in that conversation with a young lady. He also mentioned that women these days, well, in particular, in this scenario, the young lady mentioned that she doesn't want children. She went on a rant of how that she wants to travel. Her money is her own. She want nobody holding her back, things like that. And then he also spoke about the minds of this generation and how if they don't change pretty much their mindset and their ways, it's going to continue to perpetuate the cycle and put out certain types of energy that's going to continue in the future. And inevitably, just to paraphrase, it seems that he was referring to some level of decay or destruction on a societal level. So he also spoke about his own past of being a young man. I think he in his 30s, late 30s
He's in
or
his
40s.
late 30s, late 30s.
So he also mentioned as a young man that he was promiscuous. He admitted that, and he said that there was too much women he found to settle down with, and it wasn't as bad as it was then than it is now in terms of the amount of um well, I'm not say the amount, but the how the mindset was basically. And he said, at least for him, by the age of 30, a switch in his head went off, and he said he decided this is not the life he wanted to live, and he found there was no meaning to it, and he changed his life basically towards prayer fasting and make a better change, where he met his wife and lived happy, living a happy life now. And also that he there was another point he made where he identified that beauty and looks in women are going to eventually fade. All prettiness is going to go away, and the woman's belly start to sag, which young man would want that anymore. And he also some of the last points he stated was that or he made sorry was that most men want children and they want to leave back a legacy. And he one of his the advice that he gave to young women in this generation coming up is, and by extension young women, is to be careful of the energy and what you're putting out into the atmosphere. So those were just a summary of the points. Oh, he also spoke about the music as well, which we spoke about before. And he identified a song, Hit and Run. I'm not gonna say the artist, but basically it talks about uh, infidelity. Well, not infidelity, sorry, but playing around,
Promiscuity.
promiscuity. So my 2 cents on these points that he stated here, or points that he made, is that I agree with most of them. Right? Again, I want to start off by saying I don't know what a sperm baby is, right? And I don't know if this is a thing that is used widespread now in this generation or this upcoming generation, sorry. Uh, but what I do know is that from observation, from my experience, I have seen and come across instances where there is quite a lack of aspirations in women these days to be wives and mothers. They seem to be driven more along the lines of the career path, and there's always this talk about academics and how they can move up, how to make money, how to, there's very little talk about uh, children in some instances. There's actually just this week, a co-worker of mine had asked me if I wanted children. And this isn't the first time, this isn't the second time she's asking me this. She has a son, and it seems as though, which she did mention, that she's not, she claims that she's happy with the life she has, but at the same time, it doesn't seem so because the mere fact that you continue to bring it up and she prefers to live a life of luxury where she could travel the world, and but at the same time she's saying that she's happy that she has a son, things like that. um And that's just one instance. So I don't want to go on too long about this. So I'll just move on to the other points as well. And I know there's another coworker of mine who had mentioned also that the she doesn't want to have children. She stated that outright. And it seems as though the same thing the young lady said to Anil is the same thing that she seems to be living basically. So she doesn't want anybody to hold her back. Her money is her own. She wanna live her life, and that is fine. But at the same time, because well, there's a saying, your life is yours, or you could live your life according to how you want it, basically. The thing about that, in my opinion, is that at some point, as Anna rightfully said, you could say that when you're young. You could say that when you feel like you have no responsibilities. You could say that when you uh what's the word? Hmm. You could say that when things seem to be nice and all good, etc. And at this point, I would like to say that the environment you grew up in has a very huge influence on your mindset and your upbringing, and influences your decisions in different aspects. And if you were to raise in an environment, this is not me targeting anybody or um, judging anybody in any way. This is just, again, my opinion and my perspective. So, again, don't come at me for this, right? So, I'm just saying, if you are raised in an environment where you have no example of what it means to, for want of a better phrase, live a life, a selfless life that is not studying or looking only after yourself, but putting things in place for the next generation, for posterity, for growth of a community, for sharing in general within the household, even. Like, you're not gonna, it's gonna be alien to you or foreign to you, where because you don't know what it looks like or how it feels, is going to be a lot more difficult to do so, if at all, even if the mindset is there to try to, you know, do something like that. And talking from my own experience, because as an only child, I it was difficult. It was more difficult for me to share anything because I didn't grow up in that environment. I didn't grow up with multiple siblings around, or even one or two siblings. I didn't grow up with, even though I had my cousins there, they weren't always around, things like that. And it was just difficult to share certain things. And I had to learn that over time. And it's not impossible, but it just took a little longer. And certain things like that, because I was always of the opinion that just like me, again, because of my environment, I always wanted children. Well, a child, one boy, just like me. Right? So, again, that's because of the environment I grew up in. However, I knew nothing of how to do that, how to go about doing that, how to be a good parent, a good father, etc. And looking back at that now, in order to be what I actually wanted to be at that time, and without even knowing, I had to learn to share, because in order for that to happen, I have to share my life with my partner. I have to learn to live harmoniously with somebody. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be easy in some cases for some things, but at the same time, it's not supposed to be difficult.
And I want to jump in quickly as you mentioned that point where you said that you had to you had to realize that in order for you to have this child and to be a good father, you had to learn to share your life with a companion, a spouse. People try to skip that step. Let me find somebody that I could get pregnant for, or get pregnant and have this child, and I'll just take care of the child. And they don't realize there are consequences to that.
Correct. Because as you and I both know, and well, a lot of our viewers as well, how many people, both men and well, how many women do you see as okay? Let me not say women, both men and women. How many people do you know as single parents
A lot.
or have seen as single parents? And the numbers now are outrageous. How can, and I just bringing back a whole point and a whole pet peeve as well, and I'm sure this is the same for you. How can a man raise a daughter, a little girl, to be a woman?
Exactly.
Can a woman, mother, raise a young man to be a man? There must be balance. There must be that balance in the household. You must have that. And I'm gonna say a word that came to mind while watching the video from Anil as well. Role models. You need more role models in the household, in the society, in the world today. How many people can you say or have seen that you can actually look up to as role models? And I'm not just talking about, the big people in terms of who are able to stand up on a podium and talk, all these nice words, but who did and lived a life or is living a life currently on a daily basis by doing little things to improve and help society or the community by at large, and be exemplary in how it is to be a man, how it is to be a woman, and how to marry the two, and how to respect each other and keep that balance. It have too much things now of division, too much talk of division, too much fighting. Man this, woman that, man is so, woman is so, you know. And as I've mentioned over the past couple of episodes, it is eroding the fabric of society.
I agree.
So,
100%.
as I would have mentioned before as well, a couple episodes, well, the music, as Anil mentioned, the music that seems to be promoted is not one that talks of positivity is always towards the negative. How can you destroy the household? How can you destroy the family? How can you destroy children? How can you destroy posterity? And in a sense, fostering an environment whereby you have single parents, you have um, crime, you have broken mindsets, you have all these different things. But again, as Anil said, at some point, when are we going to realize, or when is a switch going to go off in our heads as to, hey, it's time for change? And it's not just talking about it, but actually sitting down and studying, okay, I want to change. How can I go about making change? How can I be the change? How can it start with me? Is always you're looking at somebody else, you're looking at pointing a finger outside.
Yeah, agreed. Like
And
as a
right,
oh, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
so at some point, as Ron would have mentioned before, that for men and women, looks get you in the door, but the mindset is what keeps you there. How many people just go in on looks alone and they don't care about up here, right? Look, just this week we were having a conversation in gym
Yeah,
about, you know, young ladies who look very nice, very lovely, but just the simple fact that you walk into a space, somebody's already there. You have no manners to say good afternoon, good evening. You see something, a weight, maybe a dumbbell or a plate or something in front of them, or a mat that you want to use is right next to the person, but you wouldn't ask excuse or if somebody using this.
yeah. They just either take it or act as though like you're affecting their training session.
Correct. When in truth and in fact, we all paying the same fee to use the same space.
Exactly, we're sharing a space. So you need to realize, listen, if I'm sharing a space, I need to be courteous of the people around me.
Correct. But
But
everybody moving around like if they have a chip on their shoulder.
yeah, I think everybody trying to protect themselves emotionally and psychologically because it seems as though we've created a society where everyone is looking to get the upper hand. It's not about okay, I'm sharing this world with people. Let me be a bit more courteous. No, the mindset is I need to get to the top, and I'm going to do, and that is in all aspects. This is not just career or anything like that. Like I need to get the upper hand in relationships. I need to get the upper hand in career. I need to get the upper hand just interacting on a daily basis in different places. Like you see the lack of courtesy in supermarkets. You see the lack of courtesy. Well, we spoke about the gym.
In work, even.
You see lack of courtesy in work. It's everywhere because everybody protecting themselves because no one trusts anyone anymore.
Correct. And again, I have to say it goes back down to the nitty gritties, as we say here in Trinidad, the essence of the environment that you grew up in, the diet that you consume, not just food, the things that you listen to, the things that you look at, the programming, you know. It seems as though, as you said about when you spoke about trust, nobody has trust anymore. It's not only trust, but just the fact that everybody operating on this offensive, defensive state as opposed to a state of respect.
Agreed. And like you would have also mentioned, it has to do with the people that have um, influenced wider society, the quote unquote role models. Their mindset has become the um, the hive mind, so to speak. Right? We have these different fan groups that are called hives and so on and so forth. And whatever that influencer says, that group believes, no one is thinking for themselves anymore. No one is looking at, okay, is what they're saying my reality? No, they're actually turning what that person is saying into their reality.
Correct.
And that's why I have to say, beware the influencers. Beware the influencer scam. Do not be fooled by influencers. People who are saying things that are sweeping comments, like they are sweeping comments, across the board comments. And because you like their music, or they make you laugh, or they entertain you in some way, and they have this belief, then you're going to take that on board too, because this person does this thing at such a high level that you believe that everything that they say or do is good and you could implement into your life. That is not the case. And I think people need to realize that, like, you have to be aware of the things that you internalize and allow to become part of you.
And as we briefly mentioned before, celebrities live a totally different life. The
Exactly.
layman on the ground who grew up in a poor to middle class community should not be aspiring to live this lifestyle, because you don't know what rules govern how that person reach where they are. But yes, so
Exactly.
we want to bring it back home and internalize it and try
Yeah.
to mimic that life. But at the
Yeah.
same time, claim, as I mentioned to you before, the as we were talking before, the I live in my best life.
Yeah.
How can you call that your own life?
Yeah. Exactly. And that brings me to the backlash that Anil got,
Mhm.
because after, um, I would have gotten that two videos were sent to me that were rebuttals of what Anil would have said. One of them was a school teacher
Mm.
who did not agree with what he said, and she said that she tells her her boys and her girls to, what she said, boy? She said she tells them to be careful who they listen to, which is fine, but also they can choose what life they want to live. Now here's the problem with that, and I'll just make any point on this first video first. Here's the issue with that. If you just tell them they can choose what life they want to live, but then you just tell them be careful who they listen to, but you don't give them any more than that.
Mhm. That's a very vague and wide statement.
That's a sweeping statement,
Mhm.
and you don't know, because let's be honest, everyone is different. Everyone internalizes information differently. There's some people who would think meticulously about what that person would have said, and there are some people who take it literally and just run with that. Okay, I can live whatever life I want to live, so I'm going to live it. And they're going to live life based on what you would have said, the circumstances in which they were brought up. And
Correct.
because of that, the life they choose may not be the life that you had in your mind for them. So you have to
Yeah,
be very,
because
very careful. As much as you're saying that influencers need to be careful what they're saying, you yourself as a teacher needs to be careful with what you're telling your students as well.
yeah,
And
keep it up.
that one, right? And that one, like I did not agree with with the way she said what she said, but I could kind of understand where she was coming from. Okay, fine. There was another one I completely disagreed, and the reason why I completely disagreed is
Wait,
that in her. Hmm?
before you move on to the next video, I just want to touch on the point that you made with that picture, because I would have mentioned something in one of the earlier episodes as well of the responsibility that teachers have in the upbringing of children as well.
Yeah, we would have said that in one of our earliest episodes.
Yes.
Yeah,
And she had a right to guide the child or the children better in that regard. So you can't just make a sweeping statement like that because of the fact that the children are going to, if a certain type of music is being promoted and a certain lifestyle is being promoted, they're going to gravitate to the easiest thing, which is exactly that type of promotion. But at the same time, you as a teacher having a little more sense, telling them that that vague statement that be careful who you listen to, be careful of what you take in, and just leaving it at that, that does nothing beneficial to them.
yeah,
Because, especially knowing the fact that the children under your care come from different types of environments.
hmm hmm
You know,
and even if she lists out a number of influencers, entertainers, whatever, that she thinks her students wouldn't listen to, but they are the ones that the students resonate with the most. You really think this your students going to listen to you?
they have
The students not going to listen to you.
a greater influence outside.
Exactly. Because if those people, when they leave school, is what they consuming constantly. Because if we're being honest, we've been in secondary school. School can be stressful. Why? For a number of reasons. You're going through puberty. Puberty is hell. Let's be honest. We didn't have that rite of passage move transitioning from boys into men. So we didn't know how to navigate the experience of puberty. That alone is stressful. For the ladies, it's stressful because apart from the puberty aspect, they now begin to see their cycle,
Mhm.
which is an extra stress on top of that. Then again, the way in which they were raised, did they have the right influences around them? They're confused in many ways. That is
Correct.
another stress.
Right.
So
And the
if
hormones.
you, yeah, the hormones raging, it's puberty. So
Correct.
if you if you're not being meticulous in the way that you advise your students, and you're just telling them based on your perception and the way you were able to solve your problems, is not going to work. You have to bring yourself down to their level. You have to get back to the mind of a teenager. What what is a teenager going through right now? And furthermore, what this specific teenager is going through.
Hmm.
You don't
Yeah.
have to agree with everything Anna is saying, but there was a security in that aspiration. He didn't say that that's the only thing women good for, and that's what a lot of the responses were about. Like that's like he said that that's the only thing women are good for, and that is not true. We know that is not true. Everyone knows that's not true. But I think the reason why there's this kind of hostility toward men is women. Here's the thing, eh? Women want to fall in love, you know. The modern woman, they want to fall in love, you know. But here's the one thing that is stopping them from doing that. They're afraid. They're afraid to fall in love. And the reason why they're afraid to fall in love is could be many, many reasons. One of the reasons, they probably would have grown up single parent household, just them and their mom alone. Their mom might have been hurt by whoever. Their mom is harboring help me out here. They're harboring pain from that previous relationship.
Baggage,
They
yeah.
probably didn't have a good relationship with their dad. So their relationship with men weren't good. And then they pass on that negative energy on to their daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And then their daughter, when their daughter has children, now passes on. So now you're building generations of walls. The wall is getting higher and higher and higher and thicker and thicker and thicker.
And I would say that's the generational curses.
Yeah. And the wall is just to protect their mental and emotional well-being. That's all it is. It's for their mental and emotional well-being. But they're not able to see that because the kind of introspection for you that you need to see that.
Hmm.
And there's a bit of fear in doing that as well.
Correct.
So that's why the safe space is in criticizing what men do or who they are, and make sweeping statements because their grandmother has been hurt, their mom has been hurt, they have been hurt because their father not there. The 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 boys or men that they associate themselves with are not of a high standard either. So they make this sweeping statement that men are this. This is all
Have,
men are good for.
have no good men.
They're no good men. So therefore, all I want to live my own life. I want to live life for me. When I think I fed up live my life, I'm going to do IVF and have a child, and I'll take care of my child by myself. If they're wealthy enough, they might freeze eggs, and when they reach about 50, then they decide they get a surrogate and so on and so forth. And well, we know the drill.
But you
But
touch
mhm,
sorry, but you just touch on a point there about the about how difficult it is for them to introspect the younger woman. And I just want to say, since it coming down the generations and the bloodline, it is actually more and more ingrained
yeah, yeah,
deeper. It goes way deeper, and it takes a lot more work to
mhm.
try to break out that.
Yeah, it goes deeper than just the mindset. The mindset now triggers the body to write in that defense genetically.
Correct.
So now when that when that young lady has children, she doesn't even have to tell them anything. Like they already have that mindset.
Correct. And then that, coupled with the fact of the insurmountable amount of distractions now, at what point or when or who is going to teach them? Because they already have up that block on certain things. How how are they going to now be able to sit down and try to even think about introspecting or try to even think about breaking that cycle?
Yeah, because there isn't any information talking about introspection. Like we talk about it a lot, but to say there are a lot of people talking about, you know, you need to you need to be introspective. You need to spend time with yourself, learn more about yourself, so on and so forth. Like unless you're actually looking for it, it's not something that you see. Like when you like if let's just say, okay, I'm a 12-year-old or a 13-year-old, and well, this is not the case now, but probably a generation before. At 12 might be the first time you're going on YouTube. Now, 3 years old and so on. But let's just say, for sake of argument, you're 12-year-old. This is the first time you're going onto YouTube. YouTube, the first 12 videos that you see on YouTube, none of them, I can guarantee, none of them is going to be anything about personal development, being introspective, um, mindset, nothing like that. You have to be actively searching for that to find that. You're going to see things like Baby Shark and some prank or something
Some
funny
wicked
or
video.
some news about what's supposedly going on in the world and so on and so forth. That's what you're going to see on YouTube if you're opening it for the first time. So the
Yeah.
influences, the general influences you see on the internet, that you hear on the radio, that you see on the television, none of it has anything to do with developing your inner being. So
Correct.
all you're going on is the influences that you have around you.
And
And
then
if
if you
the
go into
influences aren't good, well, you know.
correct. So if you just to go into a little more detail, if you go into a public school, more than likely you're going to your peers as a child are going to be talking about the latest happenings in the world or what is going on around them, what is going on with the parents, things like that. So at no point is there any going is there going to be anything really of substance that is going to help change or propel them to a paradigm shift.
Yeah. And the more they continue to experience the negative aspects of life, relationships, is the more bitter they become. And that brings me to the next video.
Mhm.
The next video, the young lady that spoke, as she was speaking, you can hear the
The bitterness.
rage
Yeah.
and the bitterness in her voice. There was one moment where she said, this is not verbatim, but something along the lines of, Anil feel that the only thing woman good for is to watch, is to feed, is to give him, is to bring food for him and wash his shitty drawers. Yeah. So my thing is, he never said anything like that in the video. He never said anything like that in the video. But out of everything he said, you summarized it as he want women to feed them and wash the shitty drawers. And you could see, like, because she was filming so close, you could see the the pain behind the eyes. Now I don't know the young lady. I I I don't know the way she was raised, how the experiences she or her mom or whoever would have had, but somewhere deep down in the inside there's pain, right? I know whenever we put out this video and some people get to this point, we're going to get backlash for it. But at the end of the day, I think what is really important, I think people need to realize, both men and women, is that if we continue to find comfort in our misery, we're not going to solve the problems that are plaguing us right now. Men and women don't trust each other. Plain as day. Men and women don't trust each other. And if we have to trust each other again, we have to get out, both men and women have to get out of the mindset that the opposite sex is bad. You can't trust women. You can't trust men. Men is dog. Woman is this. You can't. And again, it comes back to the influences that they have around them. Everyone is seeing life on this surface level when life is all of that. You're
Just
seeing
eternal
life, you're experiencing 1% of life, probably less than 1% of life right now, what you're experiencing. You think all life is about is going to school, getting an education, finding enough money to go on vacation, enjoying your life, and then that's it. But those are just short-term pleasures, if you could call some of them pleasures.
And I would have made a point early on in this video where in this episode, sorry, where I said that it seems as though women these days are focusing on the career path and academia.
Mm-hmm.
I said
Mm-hmm.
that that's fine, but at the same time, as we also would have mentioned before, is that as it comes when it comes to relationships, men are not looking for that in a woman. They're not looking at the amount of achievements
Yeah.
they have made,
But
the money they
but when
make.
yeah, but when women hear that, a word, they make word association.
Mm,
The word that they associate that with is quote unquote knowing your role. They don't like the word role. Like men have their role, women have their role, and you should stick with your role and so on. And they don't like that because it
mm,
seems as though that they are subjugating themselves, they are degrading themselves if they no. We're not saying to not have your education. We are not saying to not go to school. We're not saying to not get your degree. We're not saying to not have a car and a house and so on and so forth. We're not saying that. But if you lead with that when dating, you're not going to get the outcome that you're looking for.
correct. Because truth be told, no man, no good man in their right mind going to want a yamhead girl, a stupid girl. You
Mm-hmm.
must at least you must be intelligent.
Yeah,
You must be able to carry on a conversation. You must be able
yeah.
to um articulate yourself.
Mm-hmm. And nobody is saying that you need a degree to be like that. Huh?
Exactly.
Like you could just be high school. You could just do high school, but you were able to articulate yourself. You're intelligent. You have interests that are intriguing, and you
Yes.
don't need a degree for that.
And we're not saying
But
that you don't you're not we're not saying that you're not supposed to be ambitious either. Of course
no,
you
exactly, exactly. Like be as ambitious as you want, but when it comes to dating, men and women have their roles. I'm sorry, but that is how it is. Because think about it. Okay, let's just reverse the rules.
Mhm.
Ladies, you're going on a date, and when you talk to a guy, instead of him talking about, like, okay, women don't like show-offs, right? Well, we know that. Like, we're not saying that, look for a man who going to talk, well, I recently bought my Mercedes Benz E-Class and so on, and I recently came from Dubai, and I sold, and I just sold a company for $5 million, and like, no, like, we're not saying that, no. But if you've gotten to the point in the conversation when you're on this date, if you actually have a conversation, because that's another problem. But let's just say, okay, you meet a good enough man and you're having a conversation, and we get to the point of, okay, so um, what are your what goals you have in life and so on, and the guy says, well, I just like to be home and taking care of the house, and I like to cook, and sometimes I paint, and then I watch soap operas, and I'd I'd shower and do my hair. And ladies, I'm asking you honestly, if a man tell you that you're going on a second date, like, I really need to find out in the comments, are you going on a second date if a man asks, if you ask a man what are his goals, or what he likes to do, or like what are his biggest attributes, and he says, well, he likes to be home, and he likes to take care of his hair, and and so like those are feminine traits, right? Those are feminine traits. And what soap operas? Those are feminine traits. Are you going to? Do you want to go on another date with someone like that? And I need you to answer me honestly. So if, and chances are you're going to say no. Some of you might say yes, to each their own, but most of you are going to say no. Why do you think that the majority of men are going to be okay when you say, when a guy said, okay, so what do you like to do? What are your ambitions? What are your goals, and so on? And you say, well, I like to be a boss, and I just bought another home, and I have these apartments, and I bought another Benz, and so on and so forth. And I like to travel, and I don't really care too much about children, because I don't have time for that. I like my own money. Do you think a man should want to go on another date with you? And again, let's be honest with each other. Like, this is not us attacking the ladies, but I need you to understand, men and women are wired differently. We are built for different things. No one is better than the other one, but we are built for different things. We are not the same.
Each complements each other.
The one complements the other, and you have to accept that is reality. Life, yes, life is perception on one end, but life is also just life. You can't you can't shape certain non-negotiables of life into what you want it to be, because we are seeing the repercussions of people trying to shape life into what they want it to be.
And I want to stick a pin in that point right there, bro, because I just want to interject with this. A lot of people, and this is not me getting on a religious level or spiritual level even, but just is saying that people feel like they're taking on the role of God, in the sense that you think you could change nature. When you go against nature, we are part of nature. That's why we talk about the importance of reconnecting with nature. Anytime you go against nature, you're going to end up in problems.
All the
Always, no
time.
matter what.
All the
Because
time.
nature
Without
always fights.
exception.
Correct. Nature has one job, and it continues no matter what.
Whether you like it or not, nature has one law, and that is survival. It's not vacations. It's not your cars and your homes, and it's about survival.
Correct. And there is cause and effect. You do something, you're going to end up with a certain result. There are consequences always, both good and bad.
Exactly. So ultimately, listen, men, women, we have to realize this ain't working. You would have made another point where, you know he would have said that men want to have a legacy,
Mhm.
which is true. But a man's distorted perspective on life, a man with a distorted perspective on life is not going to create a solid legacy. And that's where we as men fall short too. He would have spoken about when he was promiscuous, right? And then he realized probably in his late 20s that is not serving him, is meaningless. And he needs to do something and build something that is bigger than him, that is going to live on after he's gone. And he doesn't just see it in the ability to get a woman pregnant and perpetuate his genetics. we are supposed to be the apex predator on the planet because we have the ability to reason and think. So therefore, the way in which we raise children is different to the way in which what a fish would give birth. Like a fish is not going to talk about values to their offspring. We are complex beings. So therefore, it's not just about making the child. It's about raising the child. It's about instilling certain values in the child, instilling certain standards in the child. All of that is part of legacy. So when your child goes out into the world, your child is a reflection of you. It's not, and that has nothing to do with pride. It's about perpetuating yourself. And if men don't realize that being promiscuous and just having children all over the place, but you're not doing your part as a man to properly raise your children, especially your boys, teaching your boys, okay, how to how to be independent, how to be self-sufficient, how to respect women, how to take care of a woman, how to take care of children, how to be proper role models to your son, how to show your daughter how she should be treated. If you're not doing those things, then just the ability to make children, just the ability to get a woman pregnant is not enough. Because when that child grows up, you've never been around. But all of your bad traits, even though you're not there, your bad traits is passed down genetically to them. And then you're going to hear years later, I hear this is so and so son, just like your father. What kind of legacy is that? So we have a responsibility as men to do right by our women and to do right by our children. Being promiscuous is short-term pleasure. And most of us, men and women, only think right now in short-term pleasure. I want to go on vacation. I don't have time to be taking care of no child. I want to enjoy my life. Who says having children stops you from enjoying life?
Yeah, that seems to be a popular opinion now.
You see, because we put the cart before the horse. What we need to do first, we need to make sure we're good in the sense of mentally, emotionally, spiritually. We need to be good. We need to be solid. We need to be strong. And from that strong, solid foundation, that is where we build from.
True.
So we have something to pass on to our children. And again, we're not talking material things. We're talking about morals, values, standards.
An empty container cannot fill anything.
Exactly. And I can show and I can there are women out there who are doing the things that we're talking about in terms of they're soft, they're pleasant, they're not doing the hot girl summers. They're just trying to be good women. They are feminine. They're not trying to compete with men because they understand that their power is in their femininity. And you know what happens with them? The other women don't like them. They call them, this is the new term, they call them pick me's. Like, okay, well, they're the ones that the men are marrying. So, like, what do you want? So, okay, so you want us to see you not being in your femininity, not having the tools to be a good companion, which is being agreeable. I know you all don't like the word submit, but submission is just being agreeable. That's basically all it is, right? You don't want to be agreeable. You want to be hostile. You want to be aggressive. But we're supposed to still choose that over a woman who's soft and agreeable and feminine, and she not she not overly exposing herself. She not going to parties and doing the most. She not drinking to get drunk and smoking, and she not doing all of those things. She just being feminine. She living in her femininity. You could see it in her energy. You could feel it when you're around them. Like you want us to ignore that and see the aggressive girl, and because she wearing a short skirt and she have shape, that we supposed to just go there. No, that is basically just a man in a short skirt. Because men are by nature aggressive and hostile.
As we mentioned before, why would I want to come home after fighting the world to come home to fight?
Exactly.
Where's the peace of
Exactly.
mind? Where's the
Exactly.
environment that
There's
we're
no there's
fostering
no
for
there's
legacy?
no peace of mind. Exactly. And again, I know we're gonna get backlash for this. Because when we put this out, like people are not going to agree. But
Mhm.
look at the long-term aspect of your
Right.
mindset. Look at the long-term repercussions of your mindset. Like I've said it before, and I might have said it lightly. But if I'm being honest, I don't want to see you, I don't want to see you ladies 10, 15, 20 years from now talking about, I'm looking for a good man and where all the good men gone and so on. The good men married,
They take on.
they take on. Like I don't want you all to be in your 40s and 50s talking about where all the good men going and are looking for somebody to spend time with and to and to love and all. You should have done that in your 20s and in your
Live,
30s.
living a life of regret.
Yeah, like I don't want you all to regret the decisions that you would have made in your 20s because you think you're hot and you could get anything you want and all of these things. No, that's the time to do the work that you need to do on yourself so that you can settle down as soon as possible.
To lay the foundation.
Because when you meet a good man, not some of them
A fly by
wharf
night.
rat,
Yeah. An instant something.
not them, you know, rat man. We're not talking about that. When you meet a good man is going to take care of you as long as you are a good woman. And I don't care what anybody says. Once you do the work that you need to do, and you learn to love yourself, and you learn to realize that your power as a woman is in your femininity, in your softness, in your agreeableness, in your courteous behavior, you will realize that the world changes for you. Men are going to be like, where I have never seen a girl like, who is this? Like, let me take you out. You don't even have to try. It's just going to happen. Like when you realize that that is where your power is, like you don't even know how things are going to change. And
The
men,
doors and the opportunities will just open.
yeah, yeah. And men, when you realize your power is in being responsible, in being ambitious, in being, how to put it? I'm going to say this and then I'm going to explain it. In being a monster. And when I say this, this is a term that we would have heard from Dr. Jordan Peterson, and it makes sense. He says, learn to be a monster, but learn to control it. You know what that means? It means when you learn to be strong, but you understand that being strong is not in imposing your strength on people or imposing your power on people, but you have it in case you need it. That is when things change for you. We as men have to get back to that as well. Like we have standards to set as well. Just like the ladies have their standards to set, we have standards to set.
So, as Anil said, we need to be mindful of what we putting out into the atmosphere, what we perpetuating. Because I would like, and again, this is just based on my perspective, I would like to believe that at some point, both men and women are going to are going to realize that they're not going to be here forever. And they want to leave behind something that is a part of them that will go on. Because I don't know, as far as, well, again, based on my perspective, I don't know anybody who doesn't, quote unquote, cling to life in one aspect or the other.
Yeah, they
After
do. They,
experiencing life here, you know, in this world, you want to hold on to it for as long as possible.
yeah. That's why I see so many people in midlife crises.
Correct. So, in order for it to, and this could go on to another episode, but I just want to say this, that if that is the case, the power foundation needs to be laid. And the earlier we recognize it, both men and women, is the better chance that we have of putting things in place at an earlier time, so it will be better on long term. But a lot of people don't think about the future, they think about the short term pleasures, as you mentioned. How can it benefit me now? And some people, including myself, because I myself is in this category, right? Sometimes I wish I knew what I know now earlier, but certain things had to happen in order for me to become who I am now. So you can't change certain things. But now that I have the information that I have, what I learn, the experiences that I have, I can now help others. I can now teach my children when I have children at a younger age. It's my responsibility to do so.
I
So
agree 100%. I agree 100%.
I am trying to be the change that I would like to see in the world and put out a different type of energy into the atmosphere and
Yeah,
make that change.
yeah.
So that's my 2 cents on the last point that Anna would have made.
Yeah. And I'd like to say this before we close off as well. We're not necessarily breaking generational curses. We are generation starters. We need to start thinking about it like that. Every every generation that is born is the beginning of a new line. And if the previous lines weren't strong, weren't solid, it is our responsibility to be that change. We can't think about, okay, yes, okay, the past generation would have probably messed us up in some way, shape, or form. But okay, fine, we are aware of that. What are we going to do about it? We need to stop passing blame.
Mhm.
We here now. We're not children anymore. We're adults now. So what are we going to do about it? We're going to continue to blame the father that wasn't there. Okay, it's easier said than done. Nobody's saying that this is going to be easy. Anything worth having is never easy. But if we continue to wallow in our misery and just finding comfort in our misery and finding safety in our misery, we're going to just continue to be miserable. Nothing is going to change. Like the world, nature is not going to magically snap its fingers and say, you know what, I see you struggling, and I'm now going to stop making. I'm going to stop your struggle, and I'm going to give you everything that you desire. That is not life. What have you learned from that happening to you? Nothing. Because you could get everything you desire and you're still going to fall back. Because you don't have the mindset to keep what you desire. I heard a saying some time ago from the motivational speaker Jim Rohn. He said his mentor told him, learn to make $1 million. You're not learning to make $1 million for the $1 million. You're learning to make $1 million so that you can understand what it takes to make $1 million. You're going to become the person that is able to make $1 million. It's not about the money. So if you want a happy marriage, you want a stable relationship, you need to become the person that would be in such a thing. You need to become the person that is going to attract a stable partner. Try it. You might like it.
It is about the journey, not the destination in that
Exactly.
regard.
Exactly.
Because as you were talking there, it reminded me, I heard sometime before, I can't remember exactly from who, and I would have seen it as well. And thinking about it based on my own experiences, growing up, if, let's say, using that same example, if you and I, we young, maybe teenagers going into um, our early 20s, if we had a lot of money, we say $1 million, right? Let's say somebody just decided to give it to us. We would not have the mindset to hold on to keep it.
As I would have spent that money on so much
So much
stupidness.
sugar. Correct. So you need, as I rightfully said, you need to have the mindset and to build that proper foundation in order to hold on to certain things for that to stay and to continue to perpetuate it. Not because you grew up in a household that, as we say here in Trinidad, you're born with a gold spoon anymore, because we know a school colleague, right? at least one who had a similar experience where his father, even though he had money, the father never gave him the money. He had to still work for it in order to understand how it is to keep that going, to keep that perpetuation, and to be able to have the responsibility to learn and to grow and to experience that for himself. So now, again, something else came to mind in one of our earlier, probably earliest episodes. Having tools to be able to build and to pass on to the next generation. Because we can now say that we ourselves have gone through that, experienced that,
Exactly.
and now we can teach because we know. You can't teach what you don't know. So,
Very true. Yeah, it's kind of like if you okay, you want to build a house, but you don't have any cement, you don't have any bricks, you don't have hammers, you don't have saw, no nails, you know, how you building the house?
correct.
So if you don't have what it takes, the mental tools to actually build a generation, a new generation, a new legacy, how are you going to build it? It's just going to pop out of nowhere because you want it to happen. That's not how it works.
And the other aspect of that is that if you, let's say, you just have the knowledge of those things or the tools, right? You might have the knowledge, okay, you read up, and they're just hypothetically speaking, I'm just painting a picture. You do some research, you find out, well, okay, I need a hammer, I need a saw, I need a piece of wood, I need some nails, etc. I need bricks, I need cement, and okay, that's it. But in the research that you did, you don't know what these things look like.
Hmm.
You never picked up a hammer, you never picked up a piece of wood, you never pick up a nail. But you want to tell other people
Well, yeah,
this, you need that,
yeah,
right? But you yourself never did it.
yeah.
That's dirty.
That's like single woman telling married women how to keep their man, or 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 men who can't keep women telling married men how to keep their woman.
Mm,
Like, you okay? You have nothing, brother man. You can't teach me anything. You was never married. You jumping from woman to woman. How you could teach me how to be married?
correct.
If I want to learn about marriage, I learn from my father, or learn it from my uncle who married, or learn it from a probably a somebody who's a mentor to me who married, who have what I want, so I could learn from them, so I could get what I want. I not go and learn about women from somebody who can't settle down.
Mm,
How that helping me?
yeah.
So I think we said well, more than 2 cents because because it's about I want 20 minutes. Yeah, more than 2 cents. But yeah, to be, like being serious now, we have to get out of our comfort zone of misery and woman bashing and men bashing. We need to come out of that. We need to come out of the hot girl summer. We need to come out of the influencers influencing our lives when we haven't even properly experienced it yet.
Correct.
We
And
need
we
to
need to
find proper role models.
keep what do you call it? Keeping up with the Joneses. We need to stop
Yeah, we need to
comparing.
stop that keeping up with the Joneses. Yeah, social media has distorted life, man. Social media makes you think that life is a particular way when it isn't. Right? Like everybody is not just out there going on vacations all the time, living life. No, that is not life. Social media has distorted life significantly,
Correct. Everything is AI now.
right?
Artificial.
Like now you hear a lot of ladies talking about 6 feet 6 figures, all of these things, right? Like most men aren't 6 feet. Most men don't make 6 figures. That doesn't mean they're not good men. All right, not all ladies have shape. That don't mean that they're not good women. Like the standard shouldn't be in the looks. The standards should be in the person,
In the mindset.
in the mindset.
Because I just wanna touch on the point you made there. Even though they may not have shape, you still need to have the mindset to keep healthy. This makes
Exactly, exactly.
because
Like you
it's a,
have to be healthy.
you're wasting your life away, and well, we spoke about that in a previous episode. But yeah,
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. Like you need to. All of that's part of it. You need to take care of your health. Like just because you feel no, because when men let themselves go, people just make sure and let them know that they let themselves go.
correct.
But when the shoe on the other foot, oh, there's this shaming and this shaming and I am beautiful the way I am, but if a man say I handsome the way I am, no, the
Mm-hmm.
kind of disrespect going to come his way, and he had to take it.
As you said, you can take criticism, but women can.
Yeah. Well, I shouldn't say a lot of them can't, but I know a few that can, and they take it on board and they get better every day because they do that. And they ain't getting better. They ain't getting better for me or for Nick or for any other man. They're getting better because they want to.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's
So
it
with
from
that,
me.
same here. So with that, see you guys in the next one. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for checking
And
in.
we hope you guys have some good takeaways from this episode, this conversation.
I hope so too. And again, we're not here to perpetuate the war. We're here to make peace. All right,
Also, don't,
men and women, we need to come back together, man.
correct. Don't forget Ron's question. You guys can leave your comments in the comment section below.
Yeah, I really need to know.
So take care, guys.
All right, take care, guys.